So I'm having a chat with Mario Vayne. How are you?
Hey Jim, good, thanks, mate. Yeah, it's Scotch o'clock. So cheers.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's nice and early here where I am because I'm assuming you're still in Australia at the moment.
Yeah. In Queensland at the moment, so 6 p.m. here.
Mm,
Um,
lovely.
so yeah, it's time all the bourbon come out.
Sounds
All
good
my
to
little
me.
buddies.
Sounds
Mm.
good. Yeah, give it 9 more hours and I might join you. Um, but let's talk about music.
That would
Let's
have
talk
been an
about
interesting.
music. We're here to talk about you. You've released a new record. We've been playing a new single of yours called Baby, Where You Love Me. Tell us a bit about the single, first of all.
Well, that was the second song that I wrote, that I'd written on the album. That was due to it's a funny one. That "Baby Way You Love Me" was the only song that never got demoed. It was just this cool idea I had, and I wrote this tune from a text message um, with a girl, special girl, and I wrote a song. And I thought, no, it sounds cool. I might write a song about that, about just the texts itself. Some of these texts that were going back and forth, where you kind of like, texting, you don't really know what they mean. And you can sort of like get mixed up. And what do you mean by that? Or, oh, yeah, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? And so I wrote a song about it and never really put it to demo until I got to Texas. And I was just strumming away on it. And my producer says, "Oh, what's that?" And I says, "Oh, it's a song I wrote called Baby, Way You Love Me." And he says, "Play it." So I played him the whole song and he said, "Dudes, let's go on down now." So it was the only song I never demoed, and it was the first song that actually got recorded. So
Nice. Yeah, nice. It's off your debut record, The Moment. It's out now. So for those
mhm.
who've not had a chance to take a listen, tell us a bit about the record.
The record's got a bit of everything. It's like a little mini journey. It's got it's got the real ballsy stuff, and it's also got the real cool ballad and lots of in between. So I think my producer put it in perfect terms that he thinks I've come out of a time machine. And so somehow from the late 80s, say late 70s to early 80s, I decided not to bring out my stuff. And now we're working with modern producers, and timing is a good thing. So I think there's a little bit of everything for everybody on this album. So it's someone mentioned it's a little bit like Queen, because Queen had a lot of songs on an album that was so different to each other, but they still sounded like Queen. One minute they got Fat Bottom Girls and Tie Your Mother Down, and next minute they got Bohemian Rhapsody, and next minute they got this crazy little thing called Love, which was completely different again. And I think this one kind of got that kind of vibe, where it's no song is the same.
Yeah.
Variety,
Yeah.
spice of life.
No, yeah, absolutely. The sound that you made with this record, is it the sound you wanted, or is it kind of just how it turned out in the studio?
Well, I hear the whole thing in my head. So I would go riding on my motorcycle, and I would hear the whole thing in my head. And it's just a moment. So it's just kind of like, I don't go into a day thinking, "Oh, I want to write some songs today." Not one of these songs were written like that. They were written in a moment. And that's why the album's called The Moment, because every song is a moment in time where something just got created. The sound wise, I've always sounded like that because I was subjected to my auntie's 70s records at a very young age. So it was instilled in me, that vibe. And I think when I write, that's the only way I can write. And I had to team up with the right producer, I think. I didn't want a producer that was a little bit too old hat to make it sound a little bit too old. I needed someone that was modern age, that had other ideas, that had ideas that I didn't have. So I tripped over an amazing producer, Simon Cohen, in Sydney from Studios 301. And believe it or not, he did won awards for Justin Bieber. It's one of the best vocal producers on the planet. Just press that. One of the best producers, vocal producers on the planet. And I thought, that's the guy. That's got to be the guy, because I didn't want a hard rock, heavy metal producer, see. So the chemistry was there from the start, and I'm very happy with the sound, yeah.
Yeah, good. And I'm sure you wrote more than what made it onto this record. What happens to those now? Do you consider them down the line, or do you think you bin them off and start again?
Well, a lot of people ask me that. I wrote 11 songs, and I kept the 11th one for the start of the next album. So yeah, a lot of people say, how many songs do you write to come up with so many good songs in an album and everything? And I said, why 11? So I'd choose 10. But now, over the last 3 or 4 months, I've written another 2 albums worth of material. So, of course, when a musician writes songs and he's finished and he hears the finished product and the album's out, everybody's like, oh, okay, let's get it out there and everything. But there's a musician like, right, let's do the next one. It's like, slow down, dude, you can't, you know. So, yeah, looking forward to the next one. But, yeah, I've got lots of songs now. Although it's quieting down lately because it's been raining like crap here. It's like Armageddon for Queenslanders in Australia here. It's just not cool. And I haven't been writing much, so ideas, you know. It's been a bit quiet.
Yeah, I can well imagine.
I've got 2 albums with stuff.
Nice.
With Queensland, mate. Beautiful one day.
Maybe with all that music that you've now written, do you know the direction you want to go in, or are you just gonna write and then when the time comes see what fits for record 2, or do you kind of have an idea of where it's going to go?
I've never had a direction ever. I've never thought, like, I want to go in this direction with this album. I want to write songs like this for this album. I just write songs, you know, and I go, that's cool. If it sounds cool to me, it must sound cool to others. But no, I don't have any direction. I think this, whatever direction the next one goes, it's still part of that journey. And the journey started when I was 11 years old, when I wrote that first song, and I got out of this shyness because of a school screw up. Probably the worst gig in the history of the world. But I got my first electric guitar. My mum gave me my first electric guitar because she knew I was shy and she knew I wouldn't do it. In front of the school with an out-of-tune guitar, in front of the girls' choir, completely out of tune, dude. Girls are singing out of tune, everybody's out of tune because of me, because I was too busy playing football. What was it, a 10-year-old dude, 11-year-old wants to go down and play football, right? I don't want to tune his guitar. So we had these little ping things, you know, little ping.
Tuning fork.
You know, not the electronic tuner. The little fork, yeah, the pain in the ass. And it was too late for me to go, so I just played. And that catapulted me into this world. And from then on, you know, I heard all these songs in my head and nothing's changed from that day. Nothing really is supposed to change. So I just write a song. I think it sounds cool. Whatever direction it goes, it's Mario Vayne direction. So I don't know what the next one's going to sound like, man. I don't know what direction it's going to go, but I've got a lot of songs to choose from.
We'll wait and see. And when it comes to the writing, you've touched on it already, but I like to find out how the tracks normally start off. Is it a riff? Is it a lyric? What works for you? What normally kicks things off?
Well, it usually is an idea right here in my head of a riff I used to have, or just a vibe. You know, the funny thing is, you know, so many songs on this album are created from crazy up moments, man. You know, like Insects, for instance, you know, like Electric on the album wouldn't have been written if it wasn't for this freaky stick insects, man. I sold my house and cleaning the garden. I thought, you know, ring up the gardener. He says, oh, it's $400. And I said, nah, $400. And I do it myself. And I don't like gardening because I don't like insects. So I thought I'll do it this once, clean up all the leaves. And I went down to pick up a stick. pretty good sized stick. Anyway, this stick had little beady eyes, looked at me and ran off as I picked it up. So I called the gardener. I said, mate, it's the day of the fucking Triffids here, man. I'll get you $400. Sounds good to me. I'll get you back here, mate. And he goes, what is it? And I said, oh, it's just this freaking stick. And he goes, oh, that's a stick insect. Yeah, the walking stick. And I said, this fucking thing didn't walk. This was hauling us up my driveway, mate. And I said, nah. And what happened then was he come around. I went into the studio and created electric. So I come up. It was really weird because I had this dance beat that was going. I don't know how it got there, but it was like a really cool dance beat. And I played this heavy metal riff over it. And I thought, that sounds pretty cool. And then 20 minutes later, I created this demo, sent it off to the producer in Texas. And he's going, what? That's really, really good. So that was so the songs were written in crazy ways, you know, from everything from insects to children. Rock and Roll Day, I was kind of like vibing it out in the car, and I had the riff, and I had my 10-year-old daughter there, and we're just rocking away, and she's just rocking away on her Robux, you know, the things, what is it called, the Roblox or something, things
Roblox,
she does,
yeah.
and she's muttering on her voice, it's a rock and roll day. And I'm going, what? And she said, it's a rock and roll day, Dad. You know, like, it's your day. It's Daddy Day. And I was like, man, you're a genius. So that's how Rock and Roll Day come about. So it was my 10-year-old daughter that came up with that.
I hope you gave her a credit.
She's too young for royalties. Yeah, she's too young for that. So I pay her in Robux.
Yeah, sounds like a good deal. Sounds like a good deal. People will want to.
She's happy with that, mate.
Yeah. People will want to see you doing some live shows. I know you've got some touring planned. Where can we see you this year?
Well, waiting for the album that's only just come out last week, and we're hoping it catches fire. I mean, the music industry now, if you're not connected to a massive label like Sony or whatever, right, it's a bit like climbing Mount Everest in your undies, mate. You know, so you'd imagine that. You know, halfway up the mountain, you climb in and you freaking freeze to death, right? And then the next band comes up and goes, what happened to him? You know? So it's a crazy thing. So we're hoping it catches fire sooner rather than later so I can get on tour. Because I released it under my own label, so I funded the whole thing. Even sold my house, actually. So I bet on this album. It's a good album. So you got to take the leap of faith, and I think that's what the moment's about. It's taking that leap of faith if you really truly believe in something, and just having the courage to do what you want to do.
Absolutely.
Touring is definitely in the future, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, recording albums one thing, but we just got to, you know, it's playing live is where it's at. So.
Yeah. Do you think you'll be over here at some point?
Oh yeah, I'm actually based in London.
Okay.
The management's in London. Press, Duff Press, who deal with Def Leppard, and I mean they're in London and Italy. So there's a lot going on in the UK and Italy at the moment. We just got on the Rock Hard magazine in Italy, and Classic Rock magazine in Italy. Got great reviews there, and also in London as well. So. I can guarantee you there will be a show in London.
Great stuff. Can't wait. Mario, it's been a pleasure having a chat with you.
Yeah, you too, Jim. Yeah, thanks for having me on, mate. So the album's out on all platforms, also on vinyl now. So you can get it on limited vinyl. It's only 150 of those available on Linktree on Instagram, and get one now. So that's the way it should be heard on vinyl.